Hello guys, welcome to my channel. So today is the 1st of October and I am very excited to make things a little festive over here in honor of the month of Halloween. So last month I did a Instagram challenge where I painted a few mushrooms, and when I was working on these guys I thought they look a little bit spooky, so why don't I create a little tutorial for this month? So I filmed the whole process and put together this video, which I am loosely calling a tutorial, but it's more like a watch me paint kind of a vibe. However, I still try to put in lots of useful information for you guys, so yeah, I hope you enjoy. Okay, grab your favorite watercolor palette, some mood lighting for ambiance, and let's get started. I'm going to start with the caps, and for these mushrooms I'm using mainly two colors, a gray and a blue. And for the gray I am mixing brown and blue. Here I used Van Dyke brown, which is a more greenish brown, and ultramarine blue to start me off. But depending on what kind of gray you want, just experiment with different blues and browns on your palette. As a good rule, I feel like you should have at least one warm and one cool tone of each color in your palette. And I put up the colors that I'm mainly using here up on the left corner. However, when it comes to blue, it's always a little bit confusing because the temperature of the color is the opposite of how it comes across. Meaning, for me, I always feel like the more purpley blues are colder in feel, but in technical terms they're actually called the warmer blues, and the ones with a more green shade are the colder blues. So just keep that in mind. So this mushroom has some white spots which I am just painting around, but of course you can use masking fluid if you wanted to. And for the lighter highlight areas, I'm using a light pale blue. And here I'm using my absolute favorite color in my palette, which is the lavender color. And I am using lavender from the brand Vinci, and this is just the perfect color for literally everything, you guys. I just added this color to my palette last year, but now honestly, I don't know how I painted before that. And if you don't have the lavender color, you can of course mix some blue and pink or red to create your own purplish blue color, but I'm telling you, it's not gonna be the same as the color lavender. The stems are basically the same color as the cap, just a lot more diluted. So for a lighter gray, I usually mix lavender and raw umber. For a darker gray, I mix ultramarine blue and Van Dyke brown or burnt umber. And I just wanted to mention that the raw umber I'm using is from Winsor & Newton, and it's more lighter than the other brands, I believe. It almost looks like a raw sienna, but I use it a lot for mixing neutral colors. I just add a little bit of lavender or blue into it, or I also use it a lot for mixing up golden colors. So here I'm starting off with a very desaturated green, which I made by adding some purple to my green and diluted it a lot. And then I am blending it out with, again, some lavender to give the leaf a more pale feel. This leaf is going to be a more warmer green, so I am adding a little bit of burnt umber to the mix. And this leaf is going to be a more golden color. So I'm using yellow ochre mixed with raw umber and a little bit of lavender to dial things down. And for the white spots, I added a lot more lavender to my gold mix to have a gray. And I decided to paint in a couple more leaves. Now I am layering with some darker colors, and as you can tell, I like to give everything a first base layer where I determine all the colors and then go into layering instead of focusing on one area and then moving on to the next. And I like to work in this way because I feel like it gives me a better balance. I'm adding darker areas, again the same gray mixture but this time less diluted, and I'm also adding some small details like those lines. And I'm giving some shade underneath the white spots because those are actually pretty textured and three-dimensional. Some lines on the white spots as well. And now I'm using a colored pencil to add some lighter highlights because it's just easier instead of mixing up the color with gouache because you can't layer light on dark with watercolor. And some color pencil to give the white areas some more texture and shape. I'm doing the same thing here for the second mushroom, so I thought I'd just speed it up a little. Now I'm working on the stem, giving it some texture with a very diluted gray, and also giving some more accents in the shading. And now I'm using my favorite white paint, the bleed proof white from Dr. P.H. Martens, to give the stem some dots. And this all adds to the texture. Also, I'm using the same white to make the white spots blend in more with the cap and to make the edges not so clean cut but a little bit rough so it looks more organic. And for the second mushroom, for the stem, I'm using black dots, which looks a little bit moldy and adds more interest instead of just having the white spots. And now it's a good time to clean the palette because now I'm going to work on the leaves. So for this dark green, I mixed up some Hooker's green with purple, which gives me a great dark muted green. And again, I'm adding lavender into the mix to blend things out and work on the lighter areas of the leaf. Also, what I like to do is, if I have anything pointy like the leaves here, I like to exaggerate the points. And I feel like doing a little bit of this gives the leaf more character and just adds more drama. And for the more reddish leaves, I'm using some burgundy, Bordeaux-ish red color and add some of the green mix into it. Now for the leaves, I keep just adding colors to whatever colors I had already mixed up. And usually if you mix too many colors, I would say maybe more than 4 colors will start to look pretty muddy. And if you have watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I sometimes struggle with colors getting dirty looking and muddy, but for the leaves here, that's actually not a problem because I want these leaves to look lifeless and dingy and, appropriate for some dark Halloween vibes. Now I'm mixing some reddish brown with a green color to paint the darker areas of this leaf. And to give this leaf some curves, I am shading certain areas. Here I'm layering again with the same purple and green mixture and then blending it out with the lavender color. So for a darker gold color, I usually start off with raw umber. But again, that's because, as I said, my raw umber is on the lighter side. You might achieve this similar color by using yellow ochre as a base and then adding some purple or greens or blues to it. And as I was recording this tutorial, I realized that I don't know every color's name. So I am sorry if I'm not able to give you the exact name and brand of each colors that I'm using here. But then again, I don't know how much important that is because not everyone uses the same brand or the same colors. So I think it's more important if it's a warm color or a cool color. And as long as you know that, you can create a similar color. But again, for my next proper tutorial, I'll try to make sure I know all the exact names of the colors, the brands, and that might be more useful for you guys. Now I'm adding some veins to the leaves, and this is always a fun part because instantly it makes the leaves look leafy and more put together. I also like to play around with the shape of my veins. So for example, if I make it just a little bit more irregular, I think it does add some character. Also, try using a little bit of a different color than the leaf for the veins. For example, here I used blue as the vein for my green leaves. And I think little things like this add more interest here and there, and it just makes it just a touch more interesting. Now I'm using my stipple brush, which I also only added to my toolkit last year, but now I absolutely love using it because whenever something looks a little flat and then I add some dotted texture using the stipple brush, it always gives it a little something. And I'm using colored pencil again to add a little bit of shadows. And voila! I hope you liked this tutorial and it was somewhat helpful to you guys. I certainly enjoyed painting these guys in this more festive setting and to share with you my overall process. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I wish you all a nice start into the festive seasons, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye!